Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Centennial Conference Corner. One of our first episodes here is with Carlie Hansen, a senior women's soccer goalkeeper, student athlete at Bryn Mawr College. Carlie, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Let's get right to it. As I mentioned, you're a senior at Bryn Mawr. You wear a lot of hats on campus. But before we get into some of that, I just want to take us back a few years ago before you made your decision to go to Bryn Mawr. What drew you to the college, being from Chicago? What drew you to the Philadelphia area and to Bryn Mawr?
Yeah, so I knew I didn't want to go to school close to home. I knew I wanted to see a different part of the country, and I was excited to get that opportunity to do so through going to college. And I had a bunch of different schools. So I wasn't intending on playing soccer in college. That really wasn't, that didn't factor into my decisions at all as I was making my list of schools. And I had the whole range from the tiny liberal arts schools like Bryn Mawr to the big state schools with tens of thousands of students. And I visited one of each on the size range just because I was limited in resource wise to be able to do college visits. But I for 10 months, I think, of the college search process, I was so convinced I was going to this one school. I was not even considering other schools, but I was still applying. So what the heck, why not? And then at the very last minute, I had been talking to a friend about Bryn Mawr, and she had won the Junior Book Award or something like that. The admissions offices sometimes will go into high schools and present a book that either was written by an alum or that relates to the college's mission in some way. And one of my friends had gotten the Bryn Mawr one, and I was okay, I already had a couple other women's schools on my list. I wasn't really looking for a women's college either. And I, 5 minutes before the deadline for the application, sent it in. And I, a couple weeks later, heard back. It was funny how nonchalant I was when it came in, because I got the email and I was waiting to drive a friend home from school. And she was like, "Oh my God, that's so exciting." I'm like, "I'm not going here. It doesn't matter." And then in my admissions packet, I got the opportunity to attend an admitted students weekend at a pretty low cost, which was exciting. And I was like, what the heck, I'll see another school, see another city. Maybe even if I'm not interested in it, I still get to see another part of the country. And I went, and I got hosted by 3 students, one of whom was a crew athlete, but each of her and her 2 friends had, them and their 2 friends each had 4 prospective student athletes that they were all hosting. And it was a big pack of us roaming around campus throughout the weekend. And through that visit, I really got a sense of the community of the school. I really loved the size. I loved the location. I got to sit in on some classes. And actually my first class of this semester was with the professor whose class I sat in on as a prospective student, which is pretty cool the way the world works. And I had the opportunity to visit Coach Stinson, the head soccer coach, in his office during office hours that weekend. And I was like, "Hey, I don't know how this works. I played soccer in high school. I had just started in high school. I had never played club." I was like, "Can I play soccer?" And the team was in a place where coach was pretty new to the job. And he said, "Okay, what the heck? If you decide to come to Bryn Mawr, let me know. We'll get you all ready for preseason, and we could always use an extra goalkeeper." And I remember sitting in the airport that afternoon, because I had said, for 10 months, I was so convinced I was going to this other school, and I was sitting in the airport, probably looking like a crazy person, because I was in tears, because on the phone with my mom, and I was like, "Mom, I really think Bryn Mawr is where I should be, just because of this weekend, and I can't really process how impactful this weekend was, that after 10 months of being so convinced about another school, that I just had fallen in love with it, and it felt like it had really clicked and checked all the boxes that I was looking for." And so here I am. So I showed up to preseason in August, and it was a huge adjustment from high school soccer. I learned so much in my first year. I went from barely being able to handle a ball with my feet at the beginning, being a really clumsy person. I still am, but that's beside the point. And I really grew as a player, and it was such a great environment with my teammates and the school overall. And I've loved it here since. So.
And Bryn Mawr has obviously a lot to offer academically and athletically. Let's talk a little bit about academics.
Yeah.
What are you studying? And you being a senior, you're almost done with your academics at Bryn Mawr. I'm sure it's a little weird to think about, but have you
Yes.
thought about what you want to do after graduation?
Yeah, so I'm a double biology and political science major, and that always throws people off too. So they're like, what are you going to do with those? And I came into Bryn Mawr knowing I wanted to do something related to political science, and I was also interested in environmental studies. They were just starting up the department. Um, and I took a couple classes, and I was like, you know what? I want something more sciencey, but I'm not interested in medicine. I went with bio because I was able to not just focus on the things that would set you up for success in med school. There were classes in ecology, and I took an invasion ecology course my freshman spring and was like, okay, like bio is it. Like, this is what I want, in addition to political science. And so as I took more courses in both, I was really interested in like where the two intersected. And something that's a big issue and that I've become aware of at my time at Bryn Mawr is how scientists and policymakers really don't know how to communicate with each other, because so few people on the Hill have like scientific backgrounds, even at like the level of congressional staffs, not just the members themselves. But then scientists also like don't know how to speak in layman's terms to like general audiences, and science communication is becoming a bigger field. So I'm really interested in that, and I would love to go work on the Hill after graduation. I got the chance to intern for one of my home state senators, Senator Tammy Duckworth, in the summer of 2019. And it was one of those experiences where you're like, yeah, like this is what I want to do. And it was an indescribable experience. So hopefully after graduation, there'll be campaigns running and I can find my way onto one of those and hopefully onto the Hill after that.
Excellent. It's great to have a plan, and you still have some time to figure all that out.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm sure this year will help you kind of craft what your future is going to look like as well. I mentioned earlier, I noted that you wear a lot of hats at Bryn Mawr and around the Centennial Conference as well. One of those is being heavily involved in SAAC. You're the co-president of Bryn Mawr SAAC, and you're also our NCAA SAAC rep on the national SAAC with Division III, which is a very unique and special opportunity that very few student athletes get to do over the years. So can you talk about your roles both with Bryn Mawr and with the national SAAC and what that experience has been like for you?
Yeah, so I've been involved with SAAC at Bryn Mawr since freshman year. I didn't have a formal position, but I filled in sometimes as the soccer team rep. Bryn Mawr SAAC over the years has been incredibly organized and really it's been a very talented, passionate group of people that have made it into a big presence on this campus, which is really exciting to see. So then sophomore year, I served as the treasurer. Junior year, I was vice president. And then this year I was elected co-president with a fellow senior who's on field hockey. And we are really excited to see where the Bryn Mawr SAAC has grown over the last couple of years. In a normal non-pandemic year, we had done fundraisers for various breast cancer awareness and research and support organizations. Last year, we fundraised for an organization that provides transportation, meditation, therapy support financially to individuals who are undergoing breast cancer treatment who may not be able to afford those support systems that are just as essential as the actual medical cancer treatment itself. And it's been amazing to be a part of something that's able to build like community in the way that it is, and something that, because when I showed up to Bryn Mawr, I was like, some people are like, oh, like we have SAAC meeting, SAAC, and I'm like, what the heck is SAAC? Like it sounds so strange. And but it's been a great way to also just hang out with people I'm friends with and to work towards a common goal together with that. And then last year I was appointed, like you said, to the associate member position for the Centennial for the D3 National SAAC, and it's a whole different kind of experience. I my freshman year got to go to the NCAA leadership development seminar convention. It wasn't like convention, but it was like a professional development, leadership development opportunity. And I got to meet all kinds of student athletes from all over the East Coast because that was the region for the year. But National SAAC has been a whole different kind of experience where I'm meeting people from all over the country, getting to hear about different experiences at different institutions that are even separate from like what we have in the Centennial. I think like all of the Centennial schools share certain characteristics, and that it's interesting to hear about like how different conferences do different things, and like meet a really cool, passionate group of people that aren't in the same like geographic area. And there's also shockingly a lot of, not shockingly actually, based on the kind of students who attend historically women's colleges, but there's a lot of historically women's college representation on the national SAAC as well, which has been a fun like extra little community in that.
It's such a great opportunity for you, and although you only get to do it for 1 year here, it's really a special and unique opportunity. And you had another unique opportunity this summer. Obviously, you've mentioned the pandemic. Everyone knows what's going on with that and how it's curtailed some of the opportunities for the fall here with fall sports. But over the summer, you had the opportunity to be a part of I'm going to peel back the curtain a little bit here, and you were able to be part of an advisory group within the Centennial Conference representing the student athlete voice. Can you describe what that experience was like? And obviously we're not playing any fall sports this fall semester, so it didn't turn out the way that perhaps you wanted to, but we're hopeful for some type of opportunities for the spring. But tell everyone what you were a part of this summer with that COVID advisory group.
Yeah, so this was a group of athletics administrators, athletic trainers, conference officials from all over the conference, obviously. And I was the student athlete representative on that, which at times is a little overwhelming. I know I talked about this in some of the meetings we had, but being asked to speak for the entire student body of the Centennial at large is a big responsibility and something that was overwhelming at times. I'm like, how could I possibly know the full range of feelings about this? Like, I know how I feel about it as a rising senior, like missing out on a traditional fall senior season, and how frustrating that was to me. Something I kept coming back to thinking about that though is like, I have gotten to play 3 more years of college soccer than I ever would have dreamed I would have gotten to play. And I hope that there were people across the Centennial that like feel similarly about the cool opportunities we've gotten, even though we may not have an opportunity for a traditional season in this sense. But it was cool to get to see how these kinds of decisions are made. Obviously, this is an extraordinary circumstance that all of us wished we weren't having to make decisions about. But this, coupled with my role in National SAAC, has really shown me how both like the conference level of the NCAA and the like national level of the NCAA operate and make decisions. And I think that what we talked about in the fall or over the summer and into the fall was important, and obviously, and that it really was the best option now that I've gotten to like sit and like think about it, because I couldn't imagine any one of my teammates being affected in the way that this disease has affected so many people across the country. And it would be heartbreaking to think about like what could potentially happen, even though we all are obviously like disappointed that we didn't get to play our season. But it was nice it was a really cool opportunity to be included in that kind of decision making. And also I felt like I was listened to, and that my opinion was respected, and that I was not just like there to say like, oh, we had a student athlete on the council. Like I was like really involved in what our conversations were and what decisions were being made. And that was a really special opportunity that I'm grateful for.
This year is going to be unlike any other on college campuses. You've been back at Bryn Mawr for a few weeks now, and as we mentioned off air, things are going pretty well, but it's different, right? So more online classes, less face-to-face interaction, less opportunities for large group socializing. But from your perspective, what are some goals you have, or some things you're hoping to get out of your final year here at Bryn Mawr before you move on to bigger and better, much better things, I'm sure?
Well, one of the other hats I wear on campus is I'm also one of Bryn Mawr Soccer's captains, and that's taken on a whole new level of responsibility this fall. It's been something normally during preseason is when like the team gets to bond and everyone gets to meet each other, and you're seeing each other for like 7 hours of the day. And it's something I really grappled with, is how I continue, or like how I try to make those relationships between teammates, even without the group soccer setting, to do so in. So that's one of my goals for the fall, is just to like maintain that sense of community and make sure that we're all gelling together, so that when we all do get the chance to be out on the field together, that's as smooth as possible, and make sure the first years are getting well adjusted, and just make sure that like everyone can enjoy themselves even despite the circumstances. And I think that what this season has to, and I say like season with air quotes obviously, but we'll still get the opportunity to practice as long as the college deems it safe, and as long as local health conditions are also safe for us to be operating in close proximity with masks, as we like progress along both the NCAA and Bryn Mawr's timeline for sports returning. I think this season is an opportunity for everyone to kind of think about like why they play soccer and like what they really enjoy about the sport, because like there is no competition, and competition is obviously a huge part of athletics, of like being a collegiate student athlete. But I think it's an opportunity for everyone to like dig deep and think about like why they play soccer and what makes it so fun for them, and make sure that we're like fostering that environment outside of even outside of a like competitive sphere, because those practices are going to be competitive. Everyone's going to be on their teammates, like the pushing them to be the best that they can be. So the second we're able to hit the field for a real game with stakes, that we're in the best place that we can be for that.
It's going to be different for sure, but hopefully you keep that positive attitude, and we hope that you at Bryn Mawr and all the student athletes around the conference make the most of whatever opportunities, what those opportunities look like, whether it's practicing and competing this year. Carlie, thank you so much for taking the time to be part of this Centennial Conference Corner interview. You have a bright future ahead, a lot of things on your plate this year at Bryn Mawr. So we hope you enjoy the beginnings of the fall semester here, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks, Tim.